What is going on, YouTube world and all who inhabit it? I am here with another review. And this time, it's a review for The Witcher 3. Now, before we get into it, I just want to, make a disclaimer and say that I have not played the game's main campaign all the way through. Um, and that's because with all the side missions and everything I'm planning on doing everything I can in my playthrough of the game, which generally means that if I was to wait until I completed the game, this review probably wouldn't be out for like a year. And to be honest, I've got plenty of other games that I would like to review coming out over the next year, and I don't want to be stuck on The Witcher. But I have played it rather persistently over the last few weeks since it's been out. I pre-ordered it, and I've been playing it solid ever since. Um, Pretty much all, and my friend can attest to that. He's been kind of sitting beside me as I've been trucking through it these last couple of days. All I basically do is eat, sleep, go to the bathroom, play The Witcher. Pretty much for the sake of this review, because I wanted to get enough basis on what I liked about the game and what I didn't like about the game, um, to do this without taking all year. So, with that being said, I think the first thing that I really want to address is the elephant in the room about the game, because it was said by a couple different sources when the game released that it was a better fantasy experience than the Elder Scrolls, specifically Skyrim. Now I'm a fan of the Elder Scrolls. I am a fan of Skyrim, and I personally think that that is a major claim to stake on a game such as The Witcher, because when it comes to fantasy games, as we all know, the Elder Scrolls is kind of the king, the cream of the crop. But I won't necessarily disagree with um, that idea. And I only say that because there are some different elements. Uh, there are some elements in The Witcher that are done better um, than Skyrim, and there are some elements that Skyrim doesn't have completely. Like there's just totally different elements. Now, the first thing that I think of when I say that is the crafting and alchemy. Now you can do that in both the Elder Scrolls and in The Witcher. But the interesting thing about The Witcher is that it just feels a lot more complicated. It feels a lot more um, like feels a lot more accomplishing when you finally craft something, because there's so much stuff that you have to collect, and there's just a lot more intricate things to do when you're crafting weapons and armor or making potions or whatever. So the whole crafting and alchemy component of the game is just really um, it's a really different experience. I feel like in Skyrim and in the Elder Scrolls, it's pretty cut and dry. It's not really that complicated, and once you do it a couple of times, it just you could probably do it with your eyes closed. Um, but The Witcher, it's got a couple. There's been a couple times trying to craft something or put something together where I've been irritated because you have to go to fight all these different monsters to get them to drop stuff, or you go to different vendors and hope to God that they're selling things reasonably. Of course, they don't. But it's just a different feeling. Like just there's a different feeling to The Witcher than there is in the Elder Scrolls. Like they just feel epic in different ways. Another way that The Witcher differs from Elder Scrolls is definitely, the combat system and the whole enemy aspect of it. Um, and I say that because generally with an enemy in the Elder Scrolls, if you're a badass enough character, high enough level and all that, basically all you do with the enemies is just, at least I, run and gun a lot. And just kind of swing my sword until the body of my enemy crumbles at my feet and kind of, bends over backwards dead, and then I loot his body, and that's that. But The Witcher, you can't necessarily do that because every monster has a different weakness to either the signs, which are the spells that The Witcher casts, or different potions that he can create to fight the monster. And there's just a whole strategic element to it. So it definitely stops you from running and gunning. You definitely have to read up on the monster that the contract is out for um, before you go into it. So it's definitely just a whole different feeling. Um, so as you can tell, I really I really like the game. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Witcher series anyway. So yeah. As for that claim, I just want to clarify, it does beat Skyrim in some elements. Do I think it's an overall better fantasy game than the Elder Scrolls or Skyrim? No, no. And maybe that's a bit due to a bit biased because I'm a big Bethesda fan, and when you think of a fantasy game, generally the Elder Scrolls is the first thing you come across. Um, it might beat Skyrim because everybody says Oblivion's better anyway. But definitely the Elder Scrolls trumps The Witcher as far as a whole there. Uh, but it's damn close. I'll give it that. There's definitely points where you know where you could probably compare it to that. But just for me personally, I don't agree that The Witcher is better than the Elder Scrolls. Skyrim, maybe, if you're going to be specific, maybe. But, Morrowind and Oblivion, you just, nothing could ever beat those. But now that we're done with the good parts, I think we should get to the bad parts. There's not most of the bad things I have to say about The Witcher 3 are kind of minuscule. They're very, very small things that people could probably overlook. Uh, you know, um, let's see, I'm trying to think about what I want to bring up first. I think I will bring up the fact, and this isn't necessarily a bad part of the game, it doesn't make it bad. For me, playing it, you know, the game has definitely made me feel uncomfortable. And before you say that I'm a puss or whatever for feeling uncomfortable about something, I am somebody that just loves to push the envelope and take things too far. And there's definitely elements in The Witcher where some of the missions, the mission objectives or some of the things that missions revolve themselves around might be a bit much. Uh, for example, one that I was like, no biggie, is that they don't like mages and witches and stuff like that. So what they do is burn them at the stake, and the game shows that. Now, for me, I know, Salem, Massachusetts, they did that. That's a real historical thing. Fine, it's like whoa, but I mean, it actually happened. The mission specifically that is making me talk about this is there's a creature called a botchling in the game, and what a botchling is basically a miscarriage. Um, it's a miscarriage that is buried without ownership. So if you just were to take the miscarriage, put it in the ground without saying, that's my daughter, or that's my son, and putting it at peace, basically what it does is it comes back as a monster and it feeds off the blood of pregnant women. Now, you know, playing this particular mission, it didn't make me uncomfortable enough not to like the game, or it just made me cringe a little bit. It was a little bit creepy. Uh, I think I had the same reaction to that I did in the part of Dante's Inferno where you have to fight uh, dead baby demon things. Um, there's just certain enemies I don't think a game should have, and personally, uh, a dead miscarriage coming back as a blood-sucking zombie thing, uh, may have been a bit too much. I might have pushed that envelope just a little bit too far. But I mean, it did have a happy ending at the end of the mission. Um, because you know the father of the baby does take it in its arms and kind of lay it to rest and say, you know, I'm sorry that I basically discarded you. You are my daughter, da 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 da, and it ends up to be uh, a lubberkin, which is a guardian creature, kind of like a guardian angel or a guardian ghost. So I guess it does have a little bit of a happy ending, but I mean, like I said, that part isn't necessarily a bad thing. Just like the really elegant uh, and extreme sex scenes may or may not be a bad thing. And I'm not saying it's not bad just because I'm a guy, of course. I don't see anything wrong with seeing titties on the screen, but some people might. Uh, do I really think that needs to be in a video game? No, but it is. Alright. Now the part that I was referring about being bad is Roach. For example, Roach is the Witcher's horse, in which he rides from town to town. He's kind of the mode of transportation. The thing about Roach is that he doesn't control very well. He's extremely glitchy and he doesn't respond to um, any commands that you give him. He just kind of does his own thing, and he's just really glitchy. to the point where I got so mad that I don't even use Roach anymore. Like, I walk everywhere. Um, so, if you haven't played the game yet, just be prepared to be kind of frustrated. Maybe you won't. That was something that I thought was wrong with the game, was just, it felt like as good of care as they seem to take with the game, uh, Roach was definitely not something they focused on. He's not really a strong point of the game. Another thing that I didn't necessarily like is that the sprint button, which I have it on the PS4, so the sprint button is X uh, as you're walking. The bad part about that is that the X button is also programmed as the loot button. So you can be running through town and pass like a barrel that has absolutely nothing valuable in it, or pass a field of flowers, and as you're running you will loot things. And it pissed me off not only because I never meant to pick any of that crap up, so it's kind of annoying because it does take up inventory space, but it's gotten me in trouble a couple times. And, it's just like Skyrim, where if you steal something, guards chase after you and whatever else. Well, the same thing happens in The Witcher, whereas if you loot something and somebody doesn't like it, you've got guards chasing you out of town. And it just, it kind of sucks when you're going to a mission and you have to go a completely different direction because you're being chased out of town because you picked a freaking apple out of a barrel that you didn't even mean to take. Uh, so, so that's a little bit annoying. Um, but let's see, there was one other thing that I didn't necessarily like about the game. Oh wait, okay. So, I mean, the last thing that I'll bring up is something that I understand because a lot of games like The Witcher, especially on PC, do this. Okay, sorry, I thought of two other things. Um, uh, where you can, if you fail a mission, it keeps track of your failed missions and you can't redo them. To a point, I understand because I've played quite a few games like that. But it would be nice, the missions that I've failed thus far in the game have been complete bullcrap. And I failed them for such stupid reasons, and I would love nothing more than to redo them, and I can't, and it bugs me because I know that I could complete them, I know that I could do them, and it just kind of has tarnished my record, especially because I've completed, all the Witcher contracts as I've gone, and there is one that I failed because of something stupid. And I just wish that they had like a retry mission thing or something. Um, the last gripe that I just thought of is something that I'm not going to really touch on because everybody knows, especially PC people. The game has had problems crashing. But if you're watching this and you're a PC gamer that has had this problem, fear not, it's happened to me several times on the PS4. And by several, I mean uh, three. I think 3 or 4 times. Which is significantly less than you, but it's still kind of irritating to be in the middle of the mission and then have the PS4 take you out of the game and say, oh, it crashed, and then restart it. Luckily, the game kind of compensates for that because I've gotten lucky, and right where it's kind of crashed is right where it puts me when I turn it back on. So it's kind of good and bad, I guess. It's bad, but it kind of compensates for the hassle. Um, but all in all, like I said, the bad things for me have been really, while it irritates me, I will admit that it's very minuscule and may not matter to most people, but they're just little things that I picked up on because after all, this is my experience with the game. This is my review. But I mean, overall, it's a fantastic game. Um, I highly recommend it. If you aren't a if you're a Witcher fan and you love The Witcher, I have no doubt that you're gonna love it because if you've played any Witcher game, you generally know what you're getting yourself into. If you're not a Witcher fan and haven't played The Witcher before, I would still recommend going to get um, The Witcher. But that kind of has its good and bad also because I don't know that I would necessarily start with the third one, but the third one is the best of the series. Just gameplay wise. The first one, of course, is a PC exclusive. The second one is a PC and Xbox 360 exclusive, and those two, while still good, just aren't as smooth and just don't feel the same, don't feel as good or as great as the third one does. But that's up to you. But all in all, I would highly recommend it, and I think that is gonna do it for this review. So, as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to check, subscribe, do whatever it is you do on my YouTube channel. Also, be sure to check out my new Twitter, which I just got, and there might be some of you watching this right now on Twitter. So, be sure to follow and all that jazz. Anyway, guys, until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.